The sun has set on 2020, and all eyes turn to 2021. For the Thailand property market, there are going to be some key questions that need to be answered. If we're being honest, last year wasn't as bad as some experts would have you believe. The market did decline, however, there was still a lot of activity. Looking ahead to the next 12 months, the Thailand property market recovery will ultimately be defined by the answers to these three key questions. Tourism drives the economy in Thailand, and the property market is no different. The sooner tourists can return to the kingdom, the better it'll be for the real estate sector. Of course, it needs to be done safely. There had initially been some hope that foreign arrivals would be allowed back in around June or July. However, the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic here in the kingdom has definitely put a damper on those expectations. Even with the COVID-19 vaccine being rolled out across the globe, it seems unlikely that tourism will be able to return to normal at least before the fourth quarter of this year. Perhaps the best hope for a tourism rebound in Thailand this year comes in the form of a regional travel bubble. This would allow visitors to perform their quarantine in one country and then travel freely elsewhere in the region. Now, by no means is a regional travel bubble some cure-all that's going to boost the market up to pre-COVID heights in 2021. It would, on the other hand, be a much-needed boost for those property developers and real estate owners in resort areas just desperate to get people back into places like Phuket and Pattaya, where their numbers are needed to at least sustain things moving forward. One of the greatest success stories to emerge from 2020 had to come from the low-rise housing sector in suburban Bangkok. Developers like SC Asset found a great deal of demand here, and many other developers followed suit, launching projects. Of course, taking from that lead, several other Thai home builders are now looking to enter the market in 2021. This is a story that's playing out a little similar to what we saw in the Bangkok condominium market, where a few developers had early success, everybody jumped in the pool, and it caused a great deal of oversupply. So the real question is going to be, do we see a repeat or have Bangkok developers learn their lesson? If everyone jumps in the low-rise housing pool, pie shares will become smaller, eventually leading to a bunch of empty houses around Bangkok's outskirts. Now, of course, these projects won't be as noticeable as the empty condominium buildings in central Bangkok because they're places no one will ever visit, but this is something that bears watching in 2021. It was only a few years ago when any project could launch in Thailand and a long list of overseas buyers would be lining up to acquire units. Those days are long gone, and while foreign buyers haven't completely exited the market, many industry experts and developers want to find ways to encourage or stimulate foreign investment once more. The Thai government has signaled that it was willing to enact measures that encouraged increased foreign ownership in Thailand property. Movement on this hasn't been as swift. The real estate industry has put forth a number of suggestions it believes would improve the current situation. Among these are better residency visas for owning property in Thailand, an improvement to current leasehold structures that made it more friendly for foreign buyers to hold landed properties, and a loosening of foreign ownership quotas in certain areas like prime Bangkok. Unfortunately, nobody knows if any of these will ever actually gain traction this year, and that's something to watch in 2021. If not, developers are going to be on their own to find ways to attract more overseas buyers, and it's uncertain if they can be successful in doing this without more support from the government. At the end of the day, 2021 will undoubtedly be a challenging year, but not a lost year. As we saw in 2020, the industry continues to be resilient and find ways to have success even if it's not at the pre-COVID-19 levels once seen. For Dot Property and Thailand Property, I'm Editor-in-Chief Cheyenne Hollis.